Merritt Wever, you play the lovable, irrepressibly happy ER nurse Zoe Barco that many fans and watchers of Nurse Jackie absolutely adore. What do you adore about Zoe?
What do I adore about Zoe? I like her spirit. I like her her physical confidence. I like her spunk and her sparkle.
Absolutely. Now let's talk about the huge Emmy win from last year, because people still talk about how amazing that was and how surprising it was. Talk us through the excitement of winning that surprise Emmy last year.
Uh, it was very surprising. I don't remember a lot of it. What I remember has more to do with, I think, the images I've seen from the outside. Like, I watched it on YouTube to remember it, and I've seen pictures. The only thing I remember concretely that I know is my experience as opposed to something I've seen on the internet is the view from up there when I got up to the mic looking at the lights and the audience right before I realized I had to leave. That nothing was going to come out of my mouth. So but it was a surprise. It was a really lovely surprise, and in my humble opinion, maybe the best way to win. Not expecting it, so you didn't have the stress, you didn't have the worry going there, yeah, it was a lovely surprise.
Yeah, I rewatched it the other day just to refresh my memory, and I remember, well, watching all of the actors, you know, on the big screen, waiting for the announcement, and I just remember looking at your face, and you were like, "Yeah, you know, here I am. This is pretty cool. I'm happy to be on."
I wasn't worried at all. Wasn't
No,
worried.
you're like, "Yeah, this is not going to happen for me." And then Merritt Wever was announced, and you're just, look, it just was one of the greatest moments on an award show. Literally and honestly, it really was such an amazing moment. And you got up there, and just to remind our viewers, you said, "Thanks so much, thank you so much, got to go by." And people were just so enamored by that. And I think the reason is it really touched on a very raw, honest moment where, you know, we all go through periods of our life where really pleasant, beautiful things happen, really, you know, lovely surprises happen, and you were so gobsmacked that it really kind of touched that raw nerve. Do you think that's true? That's why people are so enamored by that particular moment?
Maybe that's a good way of that's a nice way of putting it. I think I remember thinking something to that effect of, oh, geez, this is really rare and it's never happened before. It may never happen again. To be so genuinely surprised in such a nice way, and I think that's a really nice way to look at why people appreciated it from the outside.
Yeah.
I've always been, you know, when I watch award shows, it's always exciting to see people win who honestly don't expect to win. There's something exciting about it, and it does bring up, I know, at least in my experience, like a rush of goodwill for the person. So maybe that had something to do with it. I still don't know how it happened. Just numbers-wise, it still feels off to me. But best case scenario, the best way to win, the best. I really lucked out, and it was a very nice feeling, you know.
I can imagine, and you're up against, if you want to call it a competition, which it pretty much is, you're up against some real heavy hitters in that category, and I can imagine that you were probably not expecting to be the front runner, but the beauty of it as well is it was really the triumph of the underdog, and we all love to root for the underdog, and you certainly were that in that category. You didn't have the showiest episode submission. You didn't have the most screen time. It was just a character that people actually really love, and perhaps maybe that got you over the line. And then Neil Patrick Harris said afterwards that it was the best Emmy speech ever. He said that on stage as the host. Did you hear that when you were backstage?
No, I was told that afterwards. It's another really, really great thing that happened that I don't know how it happened, but it makes me not want to open my mouth ever again because I feel like, you know.
Well, yeah, how are you going to top that? But you know, even more cool was the year before when you were nominated for the first time. And I'll set this up. It's because for the first 4 years of Nurse Jackie, the majority of the attention was really on leading lady Edie Falco. You know, she's an awards magnet. She's been around for a while. She's on The Sopranos. And then the show was nominated for I think the first or second season as well for Best Drama Series and at the Golden Globes and all those things. It's very rare like so far into a show for a supporting actor to suddenly be nominated. And when that happened for you the year before, that was actually really surprising and cool. What was your reaction when that nomination came out of pretty much nowhere for you?
A similar reaction, that it was very surprising and cool, for a similar reason, that I couldn't believe that after 4 years people remembered me. That was really nice, actually. I don't mean it facetiously. I think it was a really big surprise to think that people were still watching the show and enjoying the show, and that people would take a liking to me seasons in like that. It was really nice. I don't have a lot to complain about with that.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good attitude. Well, look, moving off awards for a while, even though Gold Derby, we are an awards website, let's talk about the show itself, and especially the current season, which is airing on Showtime. Over last season and this beginning part of this season, Zoe is still very much in love with Dr. Prentiss, played by Morris Chestnut. How did you feel about that particular storyline, how it developed last season, and where it's going this season?
I have to say, I don't know that they're in love.
Oh, okay.
I think that they like each other. I think they complement each other. I think they're maybe more similar than at first glance. But I don't know that it's, a match made in heaven. I don't know if they're soulmates, but I think they respect each other and they get on well and they are a surprisingly good fit. But I'm not sure if they're soulmates yet.
Yeah, fair enough. And what about your chemistry and dynamic with Edie Falco herself? Obviously, Zoe and Zoe and Jackie have had ups and downs throughout the seasons. Even towards the beginning, Jackie wasn't a big fan of Zoe at all, but they've really bonded in a very unusual way. And firstly, tell us about working with Edie, and secondly, give us some insight in terms of the dynamic between those two characters.
I feel dorky talking about working with Edie, just because it's very, very great. It's a great thing. I can't imagine somebody that I'd like to work with more. I don't know how to talk about it anymore, but as far as the evolution of their relationship, I think I lucked out that it was the pilot takes place on what for Zoe is her first day of work, and I think that I just had everywhere to go being set up like that. She was brand new. It was her first day. I didn't have to live up to some idea of what the writers wanted her relationship to be like with Jackie's character, so I think that they got to observe what they liked about me and Edie relating to each other on screen and develop that kind of as we went, and I think that was a lucky thing. They didn't have a preconceived notion maybe of what we were going to be like yet.
Yeah, sorry, excuse me. So I think also with Zoe, what she brings to the show is usually the laughs. So, something really serious will be happening in the ER, and then Zoe will just kind of glide in, give the one-liner that you do so beautifully, and then kind of glide out. A lot of that delivery is your performance. Do you bring something to those particular line readings, or is it all just on the page and you're just really following the way it's written? Talk us through that particular process, because I can imagine that a lot of it has to be what you as an actress bring to that particular character, right?
I think it's the half and half equation that you always ideally want. It's always on the page, and there's always been room for me to try things and bring ideas to the table. And the creators, the writers, the producers have always been very receptive to my ideas, even when they don't work. So I think that's the way to get the best results, to have it be a comfortable environment where you can play around.
Yeah. What's the most common thing that fans and people on the street say to you about your character?
People don't tend to comment on her. They just, on the street, they come up and smile, I guess. No one's ever stopped me because they hate Zoe. She's, people may hate her, but they don't take the time out to tell me about it, which is a good thing.
Yeah, that's a really good thing.
Yeah, but she seems to engender a fair amount of goodwill. Yeah, which is nice. I'd much prefer that in person, at least.
Now, looking forward for the season, obviously most of us have not seen the whole season yet. It's still going. Do you have a particular highlight episode so far, or still to come? Given the process, you have to pick and you have to submit an episode if you are nominated, and it's likely, according to our odds, you will be again. Have you given that any thought at all about what your best episode of the season might be?
No, and I'll tell you, I don't tend to. It's a valid question. The episode has been historically suggested to me, and I've historically agreed. So I haven't had to spend a lot of time thinking about it from that direction, which is a good thing, I think. I've been grateful that there are people actually who can guide me with that kind of stuff, and who I trust, because I think it gets a little. It's not good to spend too much of your time thinking that way, actually. So
no, maybe that too much self-reflection is probably not so healthy. But yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. Especially the people at Showtime, the people that we deal with sometimes are so good at their jobs. They know exactly what they're doing. So I will certainly get on the phone and the email and suggest that so far episode 3 is really good for you.
If feel free to suggest.
Why not? It's a really good episode 3 is good for you. It's where your character Zoe is at the gay club giving out vaccinations, and it's a really good one, man. So good. It's also where your character and Jackie are trying to get those doctors to come into the ER, and you're pretending that their mothers are in the ER, and it's just so funny. So anyway, that's what I would be suggesting.
Yes, a friend of mine wrote that, Liz Flayhive. She's very good.
Yeah, very
good.
Good. There you go. So what would you say, if you can try to think back, what would be your highlight from the show to date?
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, it's not an easy one.
It's not. It's a very good question, though. I just wish I was better on the spot. Highlight of the show. Getting the job was good. I remember the audition well. Highlight of the show. The highlights of the show have probably been, I liked working with Liz Brixius and Linda Wallum a lot, the two of the original EPs and creators. I think I didn't realize just how good I had it in the beginning, how collaborative they were, and how smart and supportive they were. Coupled with Edie and working with Edie and seeing how fun and what a nice spirit she had and how generous she is. Those have been the highlights, but I don't think I have like a favorite Zoe moment yet. The favorite ones are the ones that kind of came up, I guess, on the spot, unexpectedly. The idea you get when you're rehearsing a scene before you set up all the shots and stuff, the things you try without asking people's permission first, even. Those are probably the best things, but they happen fast, and then I forget them.
Yeah, and then you move on.
Yeah.
Now, being on Nurse Jackie has obviously afforded you a bigger profile and has kind of increased your repertoire, so to speak, on TV, film, on stage. Do you plan to, once Nurse Jackie finally wraps up, whenever that may be, are you planning on, would you like to continue working in television? You've done some work on You Girl and shows like that. Or would you like to move back into stage work or into film? Where are you headed in the next few years?
I hadn't thought like that, though it would probably be wise to think about what you want. I don't think I've been thinking in terms of a medium. I think, like most people, I would be looking for collaborators or a character that are most interesting or challenging. Or I think when you have been doing one character on a series for a few seasons, you start to get a hankering for something different. Not because you dislike what you're doing, but because
No.
the natural tendency would be to look in a different direction. So whatever might be a little different. Yeah.
And finally, where would you like to see Zoe's story go as the show moves closer to its conclusion? Have you got something in mind for Zoe, or are you just kind of happy to go with wherever she takes you?
I've never had anything in mind for Zoe in any what they come up with is always better than anything that I can dream up. She's always been so silly, and I've liked that it's not ever been my responsibility to come up with the plot, just to carry it out, because what they come up with is always better than what I come up with. So I have no idea. I'm looking for a surprise.
Yeah, good. That's good. Well, look, we are really enjoying this current season of Nurse Jackie. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you last year for that amazing Emmy moment. Maybe we might have another one, but in any event, thank you, Merritt, for your time, and good luck for the upcoming awards season.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.